It's Rob Riggle. Welcome back to Riggle's Picks. With me, as always,
Darren Leader.
Darren Leader's in the house. Darren, big day today. We got a really amazing guest.
I'm nervous.
Well, I can see that, and I like that because that means you care
I do.
and you're passionate,
Yes.
and that's important. I'm excited because I'm going to learn. Today. I feel like I'm going to be doing a lot of listening, and I'm really okay with that.
Just so you know, I would be okay with that too. I have a feeling the moment is going to sweep me up, and I will want to know all the things.
Yeah.
So I got questions.
I love that.
I do.
That's great. And this, I feel like our guest today, being a musician, you guys speak the same language, and so I fully anticipate you're going to be loaded with questions.
I already got them.
Oh, see, that's awesome. And I am a fan, and I don't know enough, and I want to know more. So I'm going to listen very carefully and very astutely.
It's interesting. I think that when we have sports figures on, or Eric Stone Street, for instance, and you guys start just jamming on Kansas City stuff and college, and I'm more of an observer. I'm like, I can't offer a lot here, but it's interesting to me, and I'm excited to just dive in and talk to our guest.
So our guest today is Richard Patrick. He was started with 9 Inch Nails, and now obviously Filter
for a long time. He was an Army of Anyone. And he's a composer, songwriter, singer, guitar player, programmer. He's multi-talented, and and we have a rare treat. He's in studio. That's gonna be cool.
That's gonna be cool. That's something we don't get to do very often.
We're normally on Zoom.
Yeah, we do a lot of Zoom because it's just easier for our guests. But it's really kind of cool that he's going to be here in person.
And if we don't like him, we can tackle him.
I don't even think about, but you're absolutely right. If anything bothers, we can go tackle him.
Yeah, I can go low, and you can go high, and we can bend him over like a quesadilla.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing is, if I see you going for him,
you're gonna know.
I'll back your play. I will.
Because you're my 3 a.m. bro.
That's right, and I'll back your play, and I'll tackle him as well.
Okay.
So if I see you go low, I go high. If you go high, I go low.
Yeah, I won't even give you a hand signal. You're just gonna see it.
Sweet.
Right.
God, I love this. I love this show so much.
It's the best show. Whoever wants to come be a guest.
Yeah. You will get sacked.
It's dangerous, but it's awesome.
But it's awesome. You'll also love it.
Is that Riggle's Picks? It's dangerous, but it's awesome?
Yeah.
That's the shirt.
Write it down, somebody. Gary's not here.
God.
So somebody, Claire, please write that down. Riggle's Picks. It's dangerous, but it's good. It's
dangerous, but it's awesome.
It's dangerous, but it's awesome.
It's already in production.
Thank you, Claire.
Yes.
Wow, you are so efficient.
She's going to show us some samples.
Yeah, please leave your resume, Claire, because Gary keeps screwing around like this.
Do you think if Claire was electronic, she'd be Claire?
Okay, you know what, Darren?
Damn it!
That was actually a great joke.
Thanks.
In the dad format.
It was, right?
It was a great joke.
Thank you.
And I celebrate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sometimes it happens up here. Sometimes the magic happens. But I can't wait to get to Richard Patrick.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan, and I hope I don't geek out too bad.
Well, let's find out. Let's bring him in. Ladies and gentlemen, Richard Patrick.
Come on.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Riggle's Picks. I'm Rob Riggle, and with me, as always,
I'm Darren Leader.
We are very fortunate today to have a very cool, very special guest, and I'm so excited to learn more about you. I've got just tons of questions, as does Darren.
I have questions for you.
Well, Darren's a musician, and and our guest today is a musician. So Richard Patrick, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Yes,
and
this is a treat for us. We don't have many people in studio.
A lot of people just don't like to be near us.
Well,
and you were brave enough.
I am honored to be here.
Oh, that's awesome.
Not many people.
What? What
I'm seeing my hand.
Is he pointing?
See my hand in your camera?
Oh God.
Look.
Yeah, I see you.
That's how. That's what they don't want to be close to.
We get it.
All right. So, but we're so grateful that you came all the way out here to in California. Now you live in California, but this is not an easy place to get to. So thank you for coming.
It's somewhere near Southern California.
It's somewhere outside of
San Diego,
Los Angeles, and San Francisco,
and San Diego.
Ooh, it's a mystery. So, welcome to Riggle's Picks.
Thank you for having me.
It's awesome to have you. I'm going to just say it. I'm a fan.
Yes.
Killer.
I enjoy your music in a way that you have probably you don't know because you go about your business and you do your day-to-day stuff. I choose oftentimes to put on your songs in my car by myself and rock.
That is awesome.
And I wanted to share that with you because I think you seem like the kind of guy that is grateful to know that kind of stuff because you seem very genuine. But it's like when somebody listens to an artist, that artist makes music, they make net record, they do whatever they're doing, and you move on from that thing that you did. But that thing that you did affects so many people in so many cool ways. So
Yeah.
I just, I'm just reminding you that songs that you did forever ago they mean something to me and a whole bunch of people. So
You're not alone. I think that's true for a lot of people.
it's rad, man. I put on Welcome to the Fold, and I just, it makes me want to break stuff, but in a cool way.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I think it was my eardrums. What I did to do that song is we had stacks of amplifiers for the stage for our tour, and we had a rehearsal was part of the studio back then in Chicago, and I put all these stacks of amplifiers in a semicircle around me.
No
and
way.
I tuned my guitar down to DGBE and played guitar for like a half an hour. I told everybody to go to lunch, and they were like, no problem. And it was so loud. And I wrote the dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun, and I wrote Welcome to the Fold while they were at lunch. They came back, and I was like, I got the most epic song.
Dude.
Let's do this. And so we recorded it all in one day, and then I sang the vocals like at 1 a.m.
That's amazing. I love that story.
We can end the podcast now. It's been great. Thank you for I've literally got the chills.
Yeah.
Obviously
That's awesome.
Have no idea about that story, and I'm just a couple things that blowing my mind. AA, so low A.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Yeah.
How light did you have to play?
I played it by the bridge.
Okay.
So I played it kind of tight on the bridge. So it was playable. And it reminded me of Sabbath for some reason.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
And then for you, Rob, and for people who may not be
talk to the layman.
Yes, who may not be guitar players or musicians. Guitar's got 6 strings on it, and the low string is an E string.
Right.
So what he did was he took that string and he tuned it down.
Even deeper?
Yeah.
4 or 5.
Yeah, 5.
No, 5 would be B.
Many steps.
So you were
7.
affecting the beat of your own heart at that, at that level.
It was so insanely loud in the studio that they were like, whatever, see you later. They were so, and I was just I wasn't. See, this is. I used to party. I used to do a lot of drinking and drugs and stuff like that when I was younger. But I was happy and sober in this moment, and I was really just intoxicated by the sheer just insanity of what I was writing.
That's so
with
cool.
This massive guitar sound, and it was so much fun.
Do you feel like that? Because you mentioned the fact that you were sober and happy in that moment.
Yeah.
And you come up with this unbelievable riff.
Yeah.
Does it feel like it was inspired from beyond? Where does that come from?
I don't know. I mean, it just was one of those moments where it was like I always get this sensation of someone had to have done this before me.
Right.
Like this can't be this easy because I'm not some virtuoso guitar player. I'm playing like a monkey. I'm sitting there beating the shit out of it, and it was interesting though, because I kind of came up with the whole structure, and I had this massive middle section.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I did was I sang the majority of the song, you know, the chorus and the verses
Sure.
and all that. But then I got to this middle section and I was stumped. I was like, what am I going to write about? Well, back then I was like, I'll drop a bunch of mushrooms
Like a tall tree.
and I'll go in there and just see what happens. And so we looped that whole middle section, and I reverted and went back into like some weird state in my mushroom world head. And I just sat there going, Mama, give me my Mama, give me my medicine. like some weird,
Dude, I
some
gotta,
weird stuff. And like, you know, tall tree, you know, just
when you say tall tree, as a listener, I'm like, the fuck is he talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Because I don't know. And I'm like, Mama, give him my medicine, make me feel like what? And
but it was so cathartic and real. And the engineer, my trusty engineer Ray DeLeo at the time, was just like, dude, I don't know what you're doing, but I mean, it sounds killer to me. You know, this guy.
That's so cool.
And everybody's like, Rich, like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I don't know. I'm talking about the girl who comes over and gives me pills every once in a while. You know, I don't know.
Can I ask you, who played drums on that? I'm sorry.
Steve Gillis.
His feel on that song is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just the fills. It's
Chicago.
Yeah.
Dun.
It's just, dude, I got the chills again. We need to stop. I'm gonna decompose right here.
I love it.
It's so killer. And so when did you write that record before you went in to record it? Because you wrote that in the studio?
Well, the cool thing about Filter is what we've always done is we've always had like a home studio scenario, which was Trent Reznor was like, listen, if you just put a bunch of gear in a room, you've got a studio, you know, like. And so I had an 8-track. In the beginning, I had an 8-track and like a Fostex board and like, you know, a computer, and that was my drum machine was the computer with a sampler
was
attached
it the
to
Atari?
it. Yeah, no, it was a Mac.
Okay.
We had a Mac SE back then.
Oh wow!
But for this version of Filter, we had a full blown like mixing console and everything. And I'm sorry, what was the question?
The question was when you go into the studio with that record.
So we recorded everything kind of first. And then when we went to Los Angeles with Ben Gross was like, "Hey, let's go really do the drums again in like Ocean Way."
Right.
And so we went to Ocean. And this is when, you know, we had hundreds of thousands of dollars
budgets.
to make records.
Right.
Yeah. And we re-recorded everything kind of piece by piece except for the vocals.
Oh, you kept all the vocals.
Yeah, we kept all the Mama Give Me All My Medicine stuff. You could not reproduce.
That was a vibe.
In a million years, I could probably not come. It was just a weird, sentimental vibe at that time. It was like it was already like, this is just so weird. It's so great.
That's so.
But
cool.
I think you said it earlier when you were describing it the first time. You said it may be weird or whatever, but you said it was real.
It was real to me in the moment.
And that's what resonates.
Yeah,
that's what that can never be. That's why it can't be questioned.
Yeah,
in a way.
Well, the same thing with like Take a Picture. Take a Picture was just like this kind of stream of conscious kind of song. I didn't realize it at the time, but it was years later I realized like I think it was a cry for help because I was so alcoholic at the time that I was like, you know, hey Dad, what do you think about your son now? All that stuff was like that was kind of like, hey Dad, I think I might need some help, or you know.
That's interesting.
That is fascinating.
That's deep too. That's very. That's interesting when you look back on that, the vulnerability with that.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
Well,
every night I have to sing that song, and I change the lyrics to, I say one time I say, hey Dad, what do you think about your son? And then I say, hey son, what do you think about your dad now?
That's heavy.
Yeah.
That's heavy.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Wow. Are you able to do a lot of nights in a row? When you go tour with Filter, do you do a lot of nights in a row, or do you got to give that voice a rest?
I do whatever's required. I used to be like this crazy smoking, drinking, crazy guy that would lose his voice in 3 shows. And now I'm like super, super regimented on how I take care of myself. And I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do any partying or anything.
So the sobriety, if you don't mind, when did that start?
21 years ago.
21 years.
21 years ago.
Oh, that's awesome.
September 28th, 2000.
Good for you. That's cool.
Yeah.
Congrats, that's
And
good.
so that's obviously.
I was legendary when I went. CNN put it on the ticker at the bottom. Richard Patrick checks himself into rehab.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Did you checked yourself in because you went, it's time, or did some people say to you, it's time?
Oh no, I was.
You're ready.
I was the one who. That's why I think it works.
I was about to say.
Yeah.
I was just about to say. I think, and I'm no expert, but I would imagine that's why it works because you wanted it.
Yeah. The only way sobriety works, as far as I know, is if you self-diagnose and say I'm a crazy alcoholic and I need help, and that way you're now a friend of mine, went into rehab, and like it took him 8 months to kind of get his stuff together, but he did realize sometime in that 8 months, but he was intervened on, but he did realize after like the third or fourth month, like of being in rehab, that he realized like maybe I am sick and I need to do it. So interventions can work, but it really has to come from you.
You have to want it, right? I mean,
you gotta want it.
It's kind of like dieting. If somebody says, hey, you need to be on this diet, you're like, I don't really want to be.
Yeah.
But if you're like, oh, I really want to, you got to commit, and it's got to come from inside, I guess.
Exactly.
That's cool. And when you first came out of, or you first started your sobriety, and you started doing things sober that you were doing when you were drinking and doing drugs, like writing music or working on an album, were you freaked out or were you inspired?
I was inspired. See, the funny thing is now lyrically I can go back and actually talk about like some craziness, whereas when I was in the moment as an artist, as an alcoholic, I didn't want to talk about my problems. I didn't want to, because I wanted everything to be okay. I wanted everyone to go like, no, he's fine. He can have a couple drinks or whatever.
Right.
But like, I didn't want it to be too autobiographical. But the way I wrote in my using phase of my life was stream of conscious. So I would stand in front of a mic and just shit would come out. Yeah. Like the song "I'm Not the Only One" was literally when I found out my girlfriend had found someone else and was with someone else, and I just turned the mic on and I just started singing. The whole thing is one take, and I never went back and repaired anything. I just
wow. You never wrote anything down?
I never wrote it down. I said, just turn it on. We're gonna go through the song 2 or 3 times, and I just went through it I went through it 1 or 2 takes.
Right.
I think I came up with the ending, and I had to kind of finish the song. And we had to adjust the microphone because the preamp was, you know what I mean? The microphone was really low the gain was really high for the verses.
Right.
And then for the end, we turned off the computer and then went back and I screamed the ending. At the very end, I'm screaming, "What did you say, girl? I'm not the only one." All that. And so that was recorded 1 or 2 takes.
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
So let's take it back.
Let's go back to the beginning.
I'm sorry I'm hogging all the questions.
No.
I feel I'm like, it's Darren interviewing Richard Patrick. But this is Riggle's Picks. It's got your name in the title.
Please, my man. Please.
So let's take it back to the beginning. You're born.
Yeah.
You're in school. When do you pick up a guitar?
9 years old.
9 years old, You go, oh, I want to do this. That looks cool.
Yeah.
So you have an affinity for it. You have he can hear notes. You're like, "Ooh, I like this."
Mm-hmm.
You keep going, and then what happens where you meet with Trent Reznor in your life? And was that your first? What was your first band? And did that lead into?
There was all kinds of bands when I was in 5th grade and stuff like that. I had a band called Cynical Blitz.
Yes.
Then it was called Heat Haze.
That's so good. Yes.
Then it was called the Kamikazes.
Okay.
Because my brother was my brother Robert was instrumental. You know who my brother Robert is?
Yes. Robert Patrick. Yeah.
Robert Patrick, my brother,
Terminator.
the actor.
Yes.
Who's in the new TV show, The Reacher or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, he's in Reacher?
Yeah, he's
Jack
in
Reacher.
Jack Reacher.
Yeah.
Oh, so he's got to be in season 2.
He's in season 2.
I've only
the
finished
villain.
1. I can't wait.
Yeah, he's got a big part in
I really like that
season
show.
2.
Yeah, he's a
it's fun.
fantastic actor too.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Well, we're gonna get to you in a minute. Man. I'm a huge fan of you, dude.
Oh, that's so nice.
I'm a huge fan. But my brother was always like, "Come on, Rich, play the guitar. Play the guitar for me."
Really?
Yeah, always.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and he was like, because I was like, "I want to play football," and he was like, I was really skinny as a kid.
He's like,
and
"That's not yours."
He's like, "It's not your thing, dude. Forget it." He goes, "There's a John Mellencamp song called Forget About That Macho Shit. Learn how to play guitar."
Yeah.
Really?
There's a John
Yeah,
Mellencamp
absolutely.
song. Play guitar.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's like, "Play the guitar," and so I kept playing guitar, and then what got me into like punk music was one day I was sitting there, I was like 10 years old, and I had a Kiss record.
Mm-hmm.
My brother comes up and goes, "Paul Stanley's a p," and kicks and knocks the record out of my hand and gives me "London Calling" by The Clash. He's like, "From now on, you're punk." And I'm like, "Yes, sir."
Yeah.
Like,
That's so
yeah.
interesting.
So the punk movement gave way to industrial,
Mm-hmm.
and I was my favorite all-time favorite band of forever is U2.
Yeah.
Because of the Edge's guitar approach. He's the most amazing guitar player. He comes up
Innovative.
with his effects and all kinds of beautiful, elegant guitar sounds. And but I was also into like the intensity of like industrial music, and when I was hanging out with Trent as friends,
Mm-hmm.
and after I got into Skinny Puppy and Ministry, he was like, "What's going on with you? Like, why do you look so intense?" And
Really?
he's like, "What's going on with you, man? What's up with you?" And I'm like, I listen to Skinny Puppy and Ministry. That's it. That's all I listen to.
So when he says, did you change what you were wearing, or was just your vibe?
It was everything. It was
Oh,
the
wow.
vibe. It was
You were
my
in-
look, it was
my
the
my
vibe.
look, my appearance. Everything was like scary and mean. And,
Right.
I'm like, yeah, I just listen to Ministry and Skinny Puppy, and he goes, "I think I have something for you. It's called 9 Inch Nails. You should check it out. You should."
And this was his song, his
Yeah.
project at that time.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he was in this band called the Exotic Birds,
Mhm.
and I was in this band called the Act, and we were turned down because I loved U2 so much. We were turned down by record companies because I sounded too much like The Edge and Bono
Really?
as a singer.
Wow.
So I was destroyed as a 17-year-old kid. I was like destroyed.
Right.
And a friend of mine came over. Dave Soleil came over with The Land of Rape and Honey, which is the Ministry record. The land with Stigmata and You Know What You Are and all the Missing and all that,
Uh-huh.
and put it on, and it blew me away. And I was like, "What is this new music?" And he's like, "It's industrial." And so I was really into like Ministry and Skinny Puppy. And then Trent saw me and Trent had disappeared. He was not going out. He was, because we used to know each other from the bars and hanging out, and
What city was this?
Cleveland,
Cleveland.
Ohio.
Cleveland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cleveland Rock.
Cleveland rocks, baby.
And it was a cold industrial city with like burning fire stacks of like industrial.
Yeah.
Like it lived up to the industrial vibe for sure. But then
So he was hidden away.
So he was hidden away, but then I heard demos and stuff. I heard the song Sanctified, and I was like, "Man, this is good. He sounds great." And
Yeah.
then he's like, "I have this thing, he's like, "What's gotten into you?" I'm into Skinny Puppy. He's like, "Okay, cool." And he's like, "Well, come over to my house. I want to like play some other stuff." And so I had some demos and stuff that I was playing, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Here, check this out." And it was Down In It mixed by Adrian Sherwood.
Wow.
Which was the big, huge version, which is, just the most insane, 808 kick drums and everything. And then he played me, Head Like a Hole later on. And he's like, "This is a new song I'm working on." I'm like, "Oh my," I'm like, this is the fucking hit.
Right.
And I go, "I will totally be in your band if you'll."
Yes, I will.
If you'll have me. And he was like, "You sure?" I'm like, yes, this is why. And I'm like, it's heavy. And I was the guy in the band that was always trying to make it heavier or meaner or tougher.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
That's
so-
amazing.
But
I
not
love that.
not metal.
Right.
because metal had gotten a little cheesy, as you know.
I would say a lot cheesy.
Yeah.
Metal turned itself on its head.
Yeah.
And we crossed the line.
You know,
well, I think that happens in anything. If you keep trying to top, eventually it collapses on itself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
So, and at that time, you know, I was a heavy metal kid, right, or a heavy metal teenager, and you know, I remember watching those videos and hearing the songs that would come out, and then there was the power ballads, and I think the power ballads were the real kiss of death because everyone went, "Oh no!"
Well, everybody had to have
You
one.
don't know what you got until it's gone.
Yeah.
I can't even do that. Boy.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly how he said.
Yeah. Yeah.
But every band all of a sudden, was
every
putting
band.
out, they had to have a power ballad.
And industrial was that like off ramp from heavy metal that people went, "Ooh,
Well,
it's aggressive."
in 1985, Skinny Puppy rolls around, and it's so avant-garde, and it is so heavy, and it is so.
Probably terrified people.
It was like Trent took me to the show when I was probably like, I don't know, 18 or something, and I had never seen him, but I was terrified. And it was at Peabody's Down Under, you know, which is this tiny little club in Cleveland, Ohio. And he's like, I think we smoked a little pot or something. And he's like, "Are you scared?" I'm like, "I am a little scared."
Yeah.
You know, and we sat there and watched Skinny Puppy, and it was just unbelievable. And Ogre comes out, and he's covered in blood and like oil.
Right.
And his face looks like it's burnt up or something. And it was just like, what the fuck are we? Am I allowed to swear?
It's like
Yeah,
something
yeah.
you've ever seen.
You can
I remember in 1985, the early, my first concert ever. I was 12 years old, and I went to see Motley Crue, Shout at the Devil opening for Ozzy Osbourne, Bark at the Moon.
Yeah.
And I was terrified then. You know, like I can't imagine seeing that show. That would have terrified me.
Yeah, it was
Because that's
really
nothing was like that.
Nothing. And it was like, okay, the bar has been changed because they were taking electronics. It was electronic. It was drum machines. It was a kick and snare drum set up on the stage, and like samplers and synthesis and racks of synths.
Were you savvy in that world of gear at that point?
I loved home recording, but I was way into guitar.
Okay.
So I was really into guitar.
Trent was probably more the gearhead.
He was way into synthesizers. He was a gearhead.
He was deep dive guy.
He was doing wild stuff with synthesizers and samplers.
Wow.
Like he was one of the only guys I knew who had an emulator 2.
Yeah.
Which is like a $30,000 sampler.
How did he get that?
His dad owned, I believe his dad owned a music store in Mercer, PA.
What a serendipitous thing.
And he was like, my son would love this. And like, I think he like,
and the cool part is that his son actually dove into it.
Like Trent did this thing where he sang into a lexicon reverb each note of a piano. Like and then turned on infinite repeat from the lexicon reverb, and then sampled that, and then he's like, check this out, I made it with my voice, like,
so he's
and it was like this bizarre cool reverb out. Like he was doing some far out shit.
That's nuts.
Like intense sampling. Like,
well, I think your whole band was innovative in so many ways.
Yeah.
It was, you know, when you talk about those sounds like the lexicon verbs and the way he utilized it and like almost disassembled it and kind of put it back together in his way, and the way that you guys, you know, created the music that you created. It's I mean, that genre was changed from that point.
But Trent, the reason why industrial music is so popular is because Trent took it and made it mainstream by having a legible vocal part.
Yeah.
Because Ogre is Ogre. You cannot get away from like how intense and crazy it is, but it is an acquired taste.
Sure.
Trent has this gettable, amazing pop not pop, but like rock vocal.
Yeah.
And you know, it was he just transformed into like he made it catchy.
He
He
did
put
make it
hooks
catchy.
into it. Like as crazy as they were, I want to fuck you, like everyone knows that song.
Yeah, that I mean, even that opening, all that stuff, those sounds, just the sound.
Yeah.
And the landscapes of those.
And another thing that Trent did, he was already really gear savvy and incredible, and him and Sean Bevan did Pretty Hate Machine pretty much, and he utilized some talent, Adrian Sherwood and some other folks like that. But as soon as Trent got into a room with Flood, who engineered Octung Baby.
Oh, wow.
So he was already hanging out with like some really amazing high-level people early on, and they loved him too. They were like, "Yeah, Trent, you got it.
They
saw what he was capable of, and they were like, I'm here for you. I'm here to work with you.
That's amazing.
That's so cool.
I love that. I love when synergy like that happens.
Yeah.
That's it. That's when I feel like it's almost predestined. It's preordained that these things come together because of innovation and because of people have an ear. And they want that new sound, that new connection, that new, and the fact that he made he provided a bridge to something that seems unapproachable, but he found a way to make it approachable.
Yeah, and he went out of his way. He's like, I don't want anything to sound like we just came up with the sound and used it. He's like, I want it to be messed with, like everything has to be tweaked,
original.
Like
original sounds that created by him and by you guys, instead of going, oh, I heard that on a Van Halen record, that tone.
Exactly.
So let's take it to you guys. You're in Nine Inch Nails, and as an artist yourself and a creative person, you've got songs. You came with songs, and there's at some point you went off to do Filter.
I quit. I quit.
You just said you said I'm going to go do my own thing.
Yeah.
And
it was a lot of reasons. There was a lot of reasons, but the main thing was just that Trent is so absolutely perfect as the leader of Nine Inch Nails, and for me to kind of come up with guitar riffs or come up with something, it just didn't feel appropriate or something. It just felt like it was like, this is your thing, dude. And I don't know what to do. Like,
I get that.
Because the alternative was well, maybe there's a job down the street, you could be a pizza guy or something, right. And I was like, I know I'm better than this, and I know I can do more, and maybe I'll learn how to sing. And it really culminated. It was in Paris. We were having dinner, and we were at the end of Lollapalooza, and we had just done a few shows with Guns N' Roses, and they went over horribly. But
I'm sure
it was terrible. But they were throwing sausage at us in Germany.
I don't think anybody can open for Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
They're just there to see them. Nothing to do with your band or anybody.
Yeah, it was bad. But what was I saying? Oh, he just I was like, hey, you're gonna. You're going home you're going to go live in New Orleans, and, you got your own apartment and everything cool like that. I'm going to go home to my mom and dad's basement. Like, what am I doing? Like, and he's just like, he looked at me, he's like, straight up, go write a record. And I was like, wow.
Just that direct.
Wow.
Yeah, go write a record.
And he goes, you looked at me, he goes, you should have seen your face, because you looked at me like, you were pissed for a second, but then you agreed. I did. I was like, you're right, I'll go write my own record. And so I went home and sat there and did exactly what he told me, and I wrote Short Bus.
Wow.
And then when it came for me, he was like, come to Los Angeles, maybe you can work on the Downward Spiral, but we got to start putting the band together and stuff like that. And I was already like so into my own like music that I had started passing out demo tapes to record companies, and record companies were like, yes, please.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey Man, Nice Shot's a massive hit.
Yeah.
We'll give you $1 million. So, and so when it came time, like this was after 2 weeks of being there, and I didn't want to stay at the band house. I stayed with my brother because I was like, I sensed that I'm going to leave. And Trent was just like, hey, are you coming up to the house? I said, hey, man. And he mentioned the pizzeria, or him or John Malm had mentioned it to me,
Right.
and I was kind of insulted, and I was just like, yo, I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna sign a record contract with Warner Brothers, and I'm gonna do my own thing. And it was, you have to realize we were 23, 24.
Yeah.
That's young.
So we're
so young.
so young.
Yeah.
And so and I was literally like, I think I can do this.
Yeah.
I think I
Yeah.
can do Filter.
Yeah.
I have a little faith in myself, and I think
Yes.
I'm going to go do it. And he was pissed. He was very angry, and he wrote the song Piggy like a week later, and Brian Leescan called me, and he goes, dude, because my nickname was Piggy.
Oh, wow.
Hold.
Yeah.
Okay, can we just pause?
Yeah.
I was always told that song was about Charles Manson.
I don't think so.
Oh, I believe
Yeah.
you. I believe you. So this is like, for me, I'm like, my whole thing is shifting.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. I lost my shit over you, and I realized
Wow.
he really wrote me a nice song. Like if you go back and listen to all the lyrics, like it's really I'm not. We've never talked about it, and we're friends, and I'm being open with you because I love this podcast and everything.
Thanks.
But like a week later, Brian Leescan calls me from the studio, and he's like, "Hey, dude, Trent's writing a song called Piggy, and I think it's absolutely about you."
That's
like,
amazing.
"Hey, Pig, yeah, you." And I remember hearing it for the first time. I was at a gas station in Akron, Ohio. I had just bought a bunch of microphones. I was excited. I was coming home to record drums for the first time in my little house studio that we kind of set up. And a kid pulls in, and he's listening to the Downward Spiral, and his windows are down. And I hear the bass line. I'm like, I remember that bass line. I'm like, I remember when Trent was working on that. And then all of a sudden I hear the lyrics, "Hey, Pig.
Yeah.
Yeah, you." And I was like, oh my God.
You know what's crazy is lyrically, now that I'm going through them, it makes so much sense that it's
Yeah.
about somebody he knows.
But I think he was a complimentary song because he says at the very end, "I lost my shit over you."
Yeah.
Because he was furious. He
Wow.
was absolutely beside himself. Like, how the fuck could Rich quit?
How long? And
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah.
I know I'm jumping ahead, but like, you guys obviously.
So that's what makes the reunion that just happened a couple years ago.
I was about to say, because
Yeah.
you've obviously
Yeah.
found a way to come together again, yes?
Yeah, absolutely.
was that because you reached out, or just natural?
Well, the reunion happened because I was pissed when I found out that they were being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I was not.
Right.
Because I'd only been in the band for 4 years. But I was in the fucking band in the 4 years.
Right.
Thank you.
Like
exactly.
the van.
Yeah.
The van.
Yeah.
The Ford van.
The sleepless
you know?
nights.
And breaking it had broke over Lollapalooza and all that time. It had started to break, and I was like, dude, I was in Nine Inch Nails, bro. Like what's up? And so he said, I know how we'll get it, but he explained it to me like, Rich, it's a seniority thing. You can only have like 8 members, and there's other people that have been in the band longer than you, and so they didn't. He's like, and I wish I had more people that I could not have nominated, but like I couldn't. And and he's like, but this is what we'll do. We'll play a show in Cleveland, and we'll have you come out on stage, and we'll have a big reunion with Podboy, with Chris Vrenna, and Charlie Clouser and Danny Lohner and all the other guys that were winners, and in the inducted people. And he's like, and we'll have you come out, and it'll be a big deal when you come out. And I'm like, okay, killer. Then COVID hit, and it got scrapped, and then a year later he's announced a big show in Cleveland, and I was like, dude, is this it? And he's like, you want to do it? And I'm like, fuck yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And so the reunion came around, and we did the reunion, and it was just insane.
Wow.
Because
he's like, hey, dude, we're doing Hey Man, Nice Shot, my song.
That's heavy.
That I wrote. That literally I wrote, and like that's the reason why I got a record contract, and that's the reason why I quit. And so it was a huge like like tip of the hat, like
Right.
9 Inch Nails learned "Hey Man, Nice Shot" and played it at Cleveland.
That's great.
That was amazing.
Actually,
That's so
it was
powerful.
absolutely amazing. And just like little moments, like we were rehearsing it at third. Well, I shouldn't say, but we were rehearsing it at a rehearsal hall in Los Angeles, and I'm singing the end of the song, and the end of the song is really high and like really intense. And I'm just sitting there singing, like my balls off. And Trent's looking at me. He's just like, "Fuck yeah!" And like no one can take that away from me. Like my old boss was like, "Yes, sing, sing like a motherfucker," and it was really, really amazing.
It would have been awesome if you just yelled, "I wrote a fucking record." That's so awesome.
Yeah, I wrote a fucking record like you told me,
dude.
Yeah.
This is I'm having a blast. How are you doing, bro?
I love it. I'm absolutely enthralled. I appreciate you telling us these stories, and I'm so fascinated by it. Your journey has been amazing.
Thank you.
It's been
so
amazing.
Awesome.
Tell me more about Filter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was the whole 9 Inch Nails reunion
Yeah.
thing, which I love telling because it's amazing. But Filter we've been a band since 1995.
Wow.
We're touring.
Sure.
We're headed to Europe again this March, and then right from Europe we're flying to Australia, and we're gonna play 10 shows or about 5 or 6 shows in Australia, because Australia is a huge country, but it only has like 5 major places.
Are you doing Perth?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh,
Yeah,
Western.
that's the hard one to get to.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're doing it, and then we're going to Auckland.
Oh, okay.
We're playing in New Zealand as well. So it's a whole.
It's a
and
deal.
it's been a long time since I've been there.
People are gonna lose their minds.
Yeah.
They're gonna love this.
What
Yeah.
are you going over? Are you taking a band with you?
Absolutely. I've got Tosh Peterson is going to be our new drummer, and Johnny Radke on guitar, Bobby Miller on bass, and then me singing and playing guitar every once in a while. And yeah, it's going to be amazing.
That is so cool.
And then they're announcing it soon, but there's a rumor that we're going to do the Freaks on Parade tour again with Rob Zombie, and I think they're announcing it this Monday, but I kind of spilled the beans.
No, well, this won't air.
Yeah, this won't air till
that will.
Yeah.
You'll be good.
Yeah, no, but we're doing Freaks on Parade again with Rob Zombie, Alice Cooper, and Ministry.
Oh,
Oh!
And Ministry is the
What?
band that
Full circle.
Yeah,
blew my mind
that's
when I
the
was
one that got you in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one that
And
hooked you.
Al is like my buddy. Like,
That's-
"Hey Rich, how's it going?" Like,
How great is
What's
that?
up, Al? Like
That is so. I think Roy Mayorga is playing drums.
he
for
is,
them.
and he is amazing.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
Roy's awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Roy hits the hardest I've ever. He's almost hits as hard as Tosh Peterson.
Tosh
is a monster.
really.
Tosh is 22, so his arms
He's
are
a little
just
limber.
Yeah.
He just keep going probably.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
dude, I need a breath.
Yeah. No, but he loves Filter. He's really into the drums on Filter, because it's either we've programmed some pretty insane shit or we've had great drummers come in and play.
You guys, I mean, you've always all your records. And I hate stroking you constantly,
No,
but
it's okay.
They're all really well done records. Like sonically, they're killer. Musically,
you.
arrangement wise, and any sort of programming on the drums, it's not like you went, oh, let's take beat number 4. You know what I
Right.
mean? Kind of in that Trent Reznor spirit. It seems like you didn't want to do anything that anybody else had done. Sonically.
Yeah.
So.
Well, for me, it was all, let's just make it awesome and rock and loud.
Do you ever when you're writing a record, do you ever think, oh man, how could I pull this off live? Or are you just like, I want to make the record how I hear it?
I've pretty much painted myself into a corner with some of the stuff where I've recorded, and like I recorded some of the singing.
I know.
Some of the singing, even the stuff that we just released last year. We have a new record out called The Algorithm, which is amazing.
It's great.
And For the Beaten is pretty high.
So when I imagine when you're in the studio, like you capture it, you get it. And
Yeah.
You're like, I got it.
Yeah.
And then you go, fuck, I got it.
I got it.
Which means you got to
now
repeat
I
it.
have to repeat it and do it over. And so I've just realized, like, I just don't jump around the stage as much when I have to hit the high stuff. I just put it up early in the set.
When you're fresh.
Yeah, when I'm fresh, and I can make sure that I can hit everything just right. But it's wild. As I've gotten older, my voice has gotten, like, used to this. You know,
so it's more resilient?
Yeah.
And
so singing high is not very hard. It's singing low is weird for me.
Did you take vocal lessons ever?
Yes, yeah. After I was like, I got sober and I was like, what is going on? Because, you know, like I'm screaming and doing all this different stuff, and he's like, you have to warm up. You have to, like, literally warm up. So I do these warm ups that are really strange sounding, but they yeah, it's like,
and they go,
wrong. Meow, 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 meow. It's weird.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's like when you lift.
Yeah.
Like, you have to lift this way, but then there's the
negative.
The negative.
Yeah.
So the negative is meow, 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 meow. It's weird stuff like that. It's literally one of the.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I've been in theater and film
Yeah.
and stuff. So I not the film but the theater, and I always hear people doing vocal warm ups. You know, and they're doing all the high.
Yeah.
And it's just what you just said. You know, it's exercising that vocal cord to get the negative and the positive.
It's funny to hear if you're on a festival and you're backstage like a European festival where all the little rooms, you know, everybody's got a room with open tops, and you hear singers in everybody's doing something different. It just sounds like this circus of crazy.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah, it's wild. And like my band, every half an hour, like a half an hour before the show, you start to feel like okay, I've got to start getting weird. You know, like we play music really loud, and I'll sit there and do my vocal warm ups.
That's
and,
awesome.
You know, the drummers are always sitting there playing their shoes or
Oh
playing
yeah,
pads or
whatever
something.
they can.
You know,
it's that pregame anxiety. You got to get
you
the
have
nerves
to
out.
get it going.
Do
Yeah.
you get nervous still?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
I
long-
get excited.
How many songs does it take you before you go, all right, fuck yeah?
It's usually within the first couple of songs that I'm like, okay, we got this.
You
This
know how
is
to
gonna
do
be-
Oh yeah, I still know how to do this.
Yeah, yeah. Like the first song we have is called "The Drowning." We always play that first because it's super easy for me to sing.
Right.
But it's really hard on the drummer, and he's like, I'm going from 1 to 60, and the drums are like really intense on it.
That's a difficult thing.
Yeah.
Like if it's a fast song or technical.
Well, there's blast beats in it.
Oh, dude, out
So
of the
it's
gate.
Jap, 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 jap. Yeah, Ministry, you know. Like pull it from Ministry, you know.
I think that there should just be this giant. Every band should open with a giant droning note and just super slow.
Yeah.
And then, whoa, get everything warmed live.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's
like in the key of C or something. Like
totally.
really something easy.
Just everybody's doing harmonies. It's all pleasant, and then you go.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So you're gonna go. You're doing Europe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And where, like, I imagine you've played Russia before.
Yes.
A few times, probably.
Yeah.
Several.
Just twice.
Twice.
Petersburg and Moscow.
Did you do the midnight
And actually
train?
once. Petersburg. 2 shows in Russia. Petersburg and.
Did you do the midnight train, the overnight thing?
Yes.
It's crazy, huh?
Wild.
Yeah. There's the.
What is this? I know you piqued my interest.
So we'll be back. No. So there's a train that goes from St. Petersburg to Moscow and back and forth, and it's an overnight train.
Okay.
And it's a Russian train, and as an American,
But it literally is like Cold War era.
Oh, yeah.
Like train. It is not some Amtrak beautiful brand new high speed rail. It is a fucking old school weird Russian Strovia.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
like
yeah.
the full on
so
like
they have your cars with the bunks in it because you can go to sleep. They have the bar car, and I'll never forget. I was in the bar car and where there's a bar where they serve a little snacks and some drinks, and I'm sitting at a table and we have a translator with us because we don't speak Russian.
Yeah.
There's two Russian guys at another table, and they're looking at us, and they're just mad dogging us, and I'm like, what is going on? Because we're not being dicks.
Yeah.
We're just chilling, and they're looking at us. And I said to the translator, I go, "Are those guys like gonna shoot me?"
Yeah.
And she's like, no. And I go, why doesn't anybody smile here? Because that's the one thing I noticed. They're stoic, and it's like and I'm generalizing, but for the most part, in Russia, my experience was everybody's like this, just stone face. And I said, why don't they smile? Because when we see each other on the street, you give a head nod to somebody, or you acknowledge their presence.
Sure.
She was telling me, she goes, in Russia, we don't want to waste energy smiling or acknowledging anyone we don't care about, because it's energy you could be putting to other good use, like even facial muscles. And I was like, fuck, this is not my jam.
Yeah.
It's heavy. It's heavy over there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh, God, this has gone so fast.
Are we at 40? Oh, my God.
That's crazy.
47 minutes.
So you'll probably not go back to Russia for a while.
Yeah, Russia's not on the list.
No.
So when you go to Europe, I know very little, but I assume, you're very well received there. Do you find like Scandinavia is I feel like that's their music in a way.
Scandinavia
They
is
enjoy
awesome. Germany is big, but England is big.
Yeah?
The UK. And
Are you doing any festivals over there?
no festivals.
Okay.
But we're doing festivals in the US. Danny
Gotcha.
Wimmer.
Danny Wimmer
Yeah,
festivals.
Danny Wimmer festivals.
DWP,
Man,
okay.
he's amazing.
Yeah.
Where is
Yeah.
that at?
He's got, Danny Wimmer Presents is a company. They do a lot of different festivals. They do Welcome to Rockville.
Mm-hmm.
They do, Blue Ridge Festival, I think they just got. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
We're doing
Aftershock,
Aftershock,
that's up in Sacramento.
Okay.
and we're doing something about life.
Louder Than Life
Louder
in
Than
Louisville,
Life.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
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 Louder Than Life.
Very cool.
That's a cool festival because like all the bourbon companies
sure.
in Kentucky, they all come. That's a cool festival. It's very like it's very Kentucky, I guess.
Yeah.
It's cool.
That's
So
awesome.
you're doing those two festivals, and when you go tour in Europe, is there an opener?
Yeah, I can't remember who it is at the moment,
Copy.
but we have some special guests with us for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
And will you do that in Australia?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, we'll have some special guests with us.
That's great.
Does
Yeah.
that take you all the way through 2024? This world tour?
Our show?
Yeah.
Our show, we play selections from every record. Yeah.
No. Geez,
No, I mean for the rest of the calendar year. You're going to be on tour. You're going to be going.
No, it's for the summer. I'm coming back and I'm going to be doing those Danny Wimmer
Okay.
festivals, but I'm still going to have time to work on a brand new record.
Oh, okay, good.
I'm messing around with. I have about 10 songs that are amazing, and then I just wrote with Sam Tenez again, and Mark Jackson and Ian Scott.
you just put the other one out.
I know. I'm already on it.
That's fantastic.
I was thinking about making a
companion.
companion piece with it.
That's
called
cool.
The Antidote, but
Right.
I don't know. That's my working title.
I like it.
Because it's the algorithm and then the antidote.
Now that's cool. Now you obviously you come from the school of when we do a record, we do 10 to 13 songs, whatever it is, full length LP,
Mhm.
right? Have you thought about doing short singles or EPs? Because I mean that's what all the kids are doing.
That's what the kids are doing.
That's what the kids are doing.
I get it.
But you prefer long.
I prefer
Me too.
a big piece of history.
I get it.
Like I think there's something about like getting the vinyl
Mhm.
or getting the CD and like opening up and looking at it and putting it in.
It's a body of work.
Yeah, it's a
And-
body of work, and at some point I would see like a double LP of like the algorithm and the antidote together.
That's
maybe.
rad.
That would be amazing.
You
My
know.
son is 15, and I just took him down to Amoeba, and his eyes were like this because he's really discovering
Mhm.
albums and
Yeah.
vinyl, and he loves the opening the covers and seeing the pictures and the
Mhm.
reading the lyrics
Yeah.
and studying everything. And
That's what we used to do.
yes,
you
I
know?
remember
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
our life. It wasn't. It feels like it went away for a long time.
That
but
was
I
the
think
ritual.
I think these kids are starting to rediscover it,
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
really loving it.
Well, vinyl's a thing.
It is
Yeah.
a thing.
Like it is a thing, and what I do is I sign the vinyl, and I sell it for a little bit more money.
Yep.
But like people love that. Like,
Yes.
people are really into that.
yeah,
Absolutely.
vinyl. I mean, that 180 gram
Yeah.
album, you hold it and it's substantial.
Yeah.
You're like, there's music etched into this thing.
I mean, it's wild putting it on this turntable and like, I made this.
Yeah.
Like, I made this.
That's
And, hearing the whole thing.
that hiss. That's one of the most beautiful sounds.
Yeah.
I mowed lawns in the blazing sun all summer long so I could get a diamond head. The best turntable imaginable with the diamond head.
Yeah.
Just so I could, because my LP is the same.
That's
And then the other thing
when
was,
I was 12 and 13, your stereo was everything. We didn't have iPhones. We didn't have, you didn't have a TV in your room or anything, but you had a stereo.
You had a
absolutely.
stereo.
And you had control over that
Yeah.
stereo. And the speakers and the monster cables, and you had to get it all right. And
Yeah, I was spoiled because my dad bought CD players as soon as they came out, and then he would get the new one.
Yeah.
Like they don't sound any different, but he would get the new one.
I want the newest
And so
digital.
I took the first one he got, which was like a Radio Shack Sears thing. But I was making mixtapes from CD, and people loved my mixtapes because I would put like all of my favorite stuff on these and crank the level just right.
Yeah.
Like get the recording level just right, not too loud, not too light.
Yeah.
And
I
pop
love-
that into your car stereo. And
I
listen
love
to that.
your fire. Like when you're thinking about
Yeah.
the mixtape levels, you're like, it's got to be just right.
Just right. Just gotta-
There's a little window that's
Yeah.
perfect.
It's-
you listen to it like, oh, it's too loud. It's too loud. Gotta back it off a little bit.
What was
know.
the first record? And this is a question for both of you. What was the first record you bought with your own money?
I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was Kiss Destroyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was Shout at the Devil.
That's freaky because I rode my bike to Music Plus, and I bought Shout at the Devil, and I remember riding with it, holding my handlebars and my thumb over the top, holding the record like this. I couldn't wait to get home, and I opened it up. It was the gatefold.
Yeah.
It was a single record with the gatefold,
Mhm.
and it was Motley Crue in their full gear, and I was like, "Oh my god,
Yeah.
this is awesome!"
Yeah, and then I think might have been the second record was Van Halen 1
Yeah.
with Eruption,
Yep.
and like listening to listening to the Devil, Run with the Devil, and then right into Eruption, and just sitting there like, what is he doing?
What is he doing? Yeah,
And then I learned how to finger tap on guitar, and I was like, this is easy.
yeah,
You know?
but it sounds so cool.
It sounds amazing.
It still sounds
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I picked up Van Halen 1 for 50 cents at a garage sale.
Did you
And,
really?
and I remember putting it on and hearing, bom, bom. When I heard that shit, I was like, I am a rock and roll kid.
Yeah.
But then, it's funny you mentioned U2. I was the first kid on my block to go buy a U2 record.
Mm-hmm.
And my friends, they're like, dude, you're a waver. And I was like, what? Because you're not a metalhead. You're a waver. And I was like, no, I'm not. I love heavy metal, but I
See,
also
I
love
was-
this.
Because of the intervention of my brother giving me Joe Strummer and The Clash.
Uh-huh.
And I was like already available to I was already open to U2. I was like, U2's kind of cool.
They-
Like,
they-
2 Heart Speed is one.
I love Gloria, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I remember listening to those songs, and all my friends, we were all listening to Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Sabbath, right? But when I heard those songs, I was like, it went in my head and went, it's so good.
Yeah.
It didn't matter to
The
me.
record
some
that
things
blew
can't
me
be
away was
denied.
The Unforgettable Fire.
Oh, yeah.
With the song Wire. I was like, what is he doing?
Crazy.
Do that digital delay. The Edge bought a digital delay from Korg, like 2 Korg digital delays, and I read Guitar Player magazine when he did it, and he used the digital delay for the first time in like a lot of different ways.
Wow.
But the song that blew me away was The Unforgettable Fire. It was just so elegant, and I was like, who's making music that is so elegant and so amazing and.
Some things can't be denied.
Yeah.
Some things
Yeah.
just can't be denied.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what your genre is.
Yeah.
Like I've heard songs that I'm, not my genre at all. I don't care for it at all. But like I hear an Etta James song or whatever, I'm like, I can respect that
Yeah.
because it's just a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I had my son. It was kind of fun when we were back at that, amoeba down in Hollywood or whatever, and he had his eyes are big as saucers because he can't believe it all. I bought I bought Back in Black because it was,
Yes, you did.
because it just took me back home. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, and it was
That's
right
awesome.
there, and I was like, yes, I'm getting one too. I didn't just
Yeah.
get one for him.
Do you
Yeah.
remember trivia? Do you guys remember the B-side to Back in Black, the 45?
No, what? No.
This is crazy that it's this song because now you'd put a hit on they don't make 45s really anymore, but you would put on a kind of a
Oh yeah.
track that kind of throwaway.
Yeah.
You Shook Me All Night Long was the B-side.
Was the B-side?
This is the B-side
Wow.
to Back in Black. Yeah.
Dang. That,
Those same with like Maggie May.
Yeah.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
what
Like by Rod Stewart. Maggie May was like the B-side and became one of his biggest hits.
Isn't that
it's such a
crazy?
good
Yeah.
song. You know what we got to do? I don't mean to be rude, but I'm going to call this Richard Patrick Part 1. Because we barely
Yeah.
talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I being a selfish
I can't believe I'm interesting. That's cool. Thank
No,
you
are
for
you
having
kidding me?
No,
Thank you.
This is
We haven't even
amazing.
talked about like I did a lot of USO stuff.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I went and played for the troops.
Oh my
That's-
God.
yeah.
that's
Oh,
Yeah.
Let-
thank you.
And
Let's
you've done
pause.
that too.
Yeah,
You-
absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, no problem.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
let's save that for another
Yeah,
episode.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because
Okay.
there's too much stuff
That's right.
to get into.
That's right. I hear you. And by the way, hats off to
Thank
Richard
you.
Patrick.
Thanks,
Thank
thanks
you.
for having me. I really
Yes.
appreciate it.
Thank you, man. This has been wonderful. Thanks, man.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well, this has been Wriggle's Picks. I'm Rob Riggle.
I'm Darren Leader.
And Richard Patrick, thank you so much for being here.
Thank
All
you
right.
for having me.
Next time, we'll check in with you. Wriggle's Picks.
On Riggle's Picks, yeah.